Welcome to the CEO Shift with your host, Shondell Spader, owner and CEO of Spader Group. In this series, you'll hear fast, focused conversations with business leaders and experts who've made the real shifts needed to scale past the plateau. Each episode delivers CEO level insight in 15 minutes or less, because real growth doesn't need more noise, just better decisions.
Hello and welcome to the CEO Shift. I am bringing you Corey Morris from Voltage today. I'm really excited to have him here and to be able to have this conversation. Corey is an experienced speaker, best-selling author, an industry writer, and an agency owner leader of Voltage. His best-selling book is The Digital Marketing Success Plan, published in 2024, and shares powerful content focused on why you need to have a plan, real business stories, and granular how-to content for implementing his start planning process. In an era of unprecedented change in the digital marketing industry, it is critically important to have a documented, objective, actionable, and accountable digital marketing plan. Corey, thank you so much for being here. I am really excited to continue this conversation, to start this conversation, I guess I should say. And I also want to thank you for your book because when you launched it, I was one of the lucky folks who was able to jump in and get a copy, and I absolutely love it. So I want to dive in. We can talk about the book. We can talk about all sorts of things. We usually kick off by saying, let's talk about your zone of genius.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me, and thank you also for the kind words in terms of sharing about the book. So, as you can imagine, it's been a big focal point for things I've talked about over the past year since it's come out. And I know we'll get to that, but in terms of Zona Genius, it really honed in on digital marketing. There's a longer story about my niching down process over the last few years. And some of that's connected to even the longer story of my entrepreneurial journey of going from employee to owner a few years ago as well. But in terms of what we've narrowed down at my agency and what my passion is about, it's really in the realm of digital marketing, heavily in search marketing, which is a place that's being disrupted like crazy with AI.
Right.
But my background being in SEO and us doing both paid and organic search and AI connected aspects of that as well, and websites. So those are the languages I speak and the nerdery and places I geek
Nerdery.
out. But digital strategy and planning naturally is woven through that too, and it's hard to find me getting away from that topic when I get into any conversation with anyone about marketing.
Right. So clearly, this is what you live and breathe. From a standpoint of like this conversation, many others, it sounds like that you're having as well, what are the things that can really help our listeners, whether they're agency owners or they're CEOs? Like, what's the thing that you're passionate about sharing and really getting just the information to them in an easy way?
Yeah, a few years ago, I got more comfortable with a level of transparency that 10 years ago I probably couldn't have imagined in terms of being willing to give away my process
Mm.
publicly. And so, whether it's other agencies seeing it and borrowing parts and pieces of it to supplement their own maybe proprietary process or methodology they use with clients, or more importantly, the end client or contact out there who doesn't know if their marketing is working or not, which is a scary place to be, or is
Right.
just doing the things that they've always done without it being connected to ROI or really being challenged with kind of the new frontier of what we're facing and concerned about what to do with it. And so there are a number of different ways that people can take the entire process that I've developed or just a slice or sliver of it. But my mission has turned into not wanting anyone to waste any budget or not know if something's working or not because we don't have time and dollars and infinite resources to be able to just throw out there and see if it sticks or just hope that there's some correlation out there by doing this activity and then it'll pay off for us down the
Right.
road when down the road is too late to find that out.
Right. Well, and this is part of why, like, for us, when we're working with folks, we're obviously working with folks from the accounting side of the world, and we're analyzing these things, right? Like, okay, we've invested in said marketing efforts. This is what it produced from we try to make everything as trackable as possible. Like, there's a little bit obviously that isn't perfect or right to the penny. But when we can say, like, these efforts were fruitful and they generated this in a raised income or differently, and we can say, okay, this is what the expense was, and bring those margins in. If we have two or three different campaigns, I'll call them, going, and we can say campaign one, great, really profitable, hits all of our margins, hits our goals. Two, we're close, we're just barely at the goals, or whatever that might be. And then, like, maybe number three is like, you know what? It's below the markers. It's not time wasted. It's not even money wasted, as long as you're doing exactly what you said, right? Coming back to it and saying, okay, this is working, this is not. If it's not working, we move on. We simply say, tried it, been there, done that, we move on.
Well, and what you said about you using the word investment, that's absolutely the way I think about it. And unfortunately, marketing often gets looked at as an expense. And anything, if you're working with an agency, if they're looked at as a vendor and not a partner and part of your team with the same level of expectations, then it's the easiest thing to be misunderstood, have misaligned expectations on, and to want to cut when things get tight or there's a challenge or some of the ups and downs in your business. And so with any investment, if I'm working with my financial advisor, I have an expectation of return on investment of what we're doing in
Right.
the markets. And similarly, I should have an expectation of return on investment with what I'm doing with marketing. And just like the stock market or whatever markets you're investing in, there's no guarantee of past, that's part of the disclaimer, right? When you hear commercials or whatever about past results not indicating future
Right.
success. But there's no promises, but we can put, with crafting a plan and doing the research and setting the strategy and getting everybody on the same page, we can move from just doing a bunch of tactics or a bunch of activities and have them be part of a broader strategy that is mapped to that expectation of ROI. And to your exact point of looking at a detailed level of what's working and understanding that. So it's not just one big bloated mystery line item on your P&L. It's something that
Right.
goes beyond that, and we can connect the dots all the way through to ROI, no matter if that's B2B, B2C, or even a brick and mortar retailer,
Yeah.
and to be able to understand and know with confidence it's working and that it is accountable. It's not just something that we do.
Well, and I'd love to, like, if we've gone through the efforts to build it, to prove it out once, it's something that needs to be reviewed all the time because, again, back to my scenario of like number one, two, and three, like we knew right away three wasn't working. Great, we let it go. Well, one and two have been working, but do they work continuously? Because we all know business changes, the market changes, the focus changes, the approach changes, and it could be overnight, it could be over time. But something that worked 5 years ago might not be working as effectively as it used to. So making sure that we're continuing to visit that, what is the ROI, and really keeping a handle on what that is continuously. 'Cause
Yeah.
it might not be ditching everything and starting over. It might be making small tweaks here and there that make it, again, stay above where we want it to perform or stay at where we want it to perform at the very least.
Yeah, so I'm all about getting that initial plan built. And so it's if you pick up the book, you can work through that process maybe in a week if you just immerse yourself in it and go start to finish and building your plan. Typically, we build that plan in 60 to 90 days, and then we're ready to implement. And in that implementation phase, that doesn't mean that we just blindly run the plan for a year
Right.
and then we look back in a year. There's still optimization in that, whether we're doing
Yeah.
search engine optimization or working on getting found in AI sources or optimizing Google Ads, but even more traditional digital channels like email marketing, there should be testing and optimization there too of audiences and offers and messaging. And there's so many different variables you can test there too. So there's testing and
Yeah.
iteration. And so I recently had a chance to write an article I write for Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Land. I wrote for one of them about kind of a sprint methodology and I'm borrowing from agile processes, but that's really what I look at because whether it's a monthly review cycle, a quarterly one,
Yeah.
or whatnot, or you're just doing sprints that are defined sets of a period of days and activities, that gives you a built-in reason to revisit, even if you're head down, way in the weeds on implementing the
Right.
tactics and measuring. It's hard to sometimes to find that balance when we have real-time data and dashboards coming at us, and not to
Right.
overreact to too small of a sample size of what happened. But at the same time, we can't just let it run and not take a look at what's happening and adjust and course correct. I also call in my book and just in everyday language I use, I call interruptions trigger events. And that could be, those could be internal or
Mm,
external. And those are times to, if you have a documented plan, say, how does this change the plan or reprioritize the plan or the budget that we're giving it? And those could be things like what I call CEO drive-bys. Someone coming by and saying, "Hey, have we thought about this audience? Or have we thought about that?" Or it could be a product team or sales team saying, "Hey, we're going to do this promotion or we're developing this new feature." Or it could be external, and it could be something like Google changing its algorithm even more radically than it does, or a new AI thing
right.
emerging, or a competitor entering or doing something dramatically different. And those are times where you can say time out. Even if it's a 5 minute conversation, how does go back to the documented plan, not the activities that or what's in someone's head, which is
Yeah.
dangerous if it's only in someone's head. That's a tangent that I'm going on. But if it's in
Right.
somebody's head, not documented, it's a risk to walk out the door at any
Right.
given point. But to be able to say, okay, how do we adjust from here? And so we're not just constantly chasing things and reacting things, but there's a proactive approach to all of it.
That's awesome. Um, so when we're kind of diving in, if somebody were like, okay, I love this idea, I want to do this, obviously get the book. Like that's a no-brainer to me. But, what would be like that thing if they were going to dive into this, what's that mindset shift that you would say like kind of rethink or redesign how you approach something or, in this category, right? Like what's that mindset shift or even just a strategy of like best practice or where to start?
Yeah, if there are a number, to break up some of the really kind of detailed parts of the process, I have a number of stories in the book, but they all kind of align with the 3 to 5 to 7 different common challenges I see from businesses across different verticals, and some of them are as simple as I don't know if I'm getting return on investment or not, and if you're ever frustrated by that or thinking about just turning it off and do the turn it off test and see. That's a scary
Okay.
place to be, right? Of not
Yeah.
knowing, but that's definitely an indicator for me that you need to take a step back and revisit. Or if it's been more than 6 months or a year since you've gone through some strategic planning, or if you feel
Okay.
like you're doing a bunch of activities just because you've always done them, and to your point, maybe we've done it for 5 years that way,
Yeah.
or maybe you inherited a set of activities, or somebody
Yeah.
said at a trade show you got to do this one magic thing and it's going to solve everything, and then that really didn't come through for you. That's where you probably need to take a step back and look at holistically what your strategy is, and if your tactics are subordinate to your strategy, and if you have the right resourcing and plan in place. And it's such a common thing out there, and especially it's frustrating for me. And I'll be the first to admit my agency is not perfect. And most of the lessons and things I talk about, I learned the hard way. And through a
Right.
lot of mistakes and trial and error. So I'm not here to cast judgment on other agencies. In fact, a big percentage of who we work with are other agencies that bring us in to be
Right.
a search or web expert for them. But I've had a number of different stories of people who have come along who even their agency has not. It is a question of who's leading strategy here. Is it our in-house team? Is it the person who wears the hat internally? Or is
Right.
it the outsourced partner? Or is it a combination of both? And if it's too many people, multiple people, or too many entities, or zero, we have a problem.
Right.
And that's really a couple of the or a few of the kind of introspective categories that I'd look at and think about. questioning, or if any of that stirred any inkling in you, I would encourage you to pick up the book. And um, I'm not here to sell books. So whether you pick it up for 10 or 20 bucks, great, or you want a copy, we'll talk about contact info at the end. My whole goal is just to
Yeah,
not have clients or companies or brands um, waste money or find out too late that
I
they
love it.
were getting the ROI that they thought they were.
And I love that that's the focus, right? Like we want to do good things. We want to promote you well. We want to make sure that we're we're doing what makes sense. And just because we put it out there doesn't mean that you like you can't have that constructive feedback for yourselves too, right? Like, yes, we put it out there. Yes, when we put it out, we knew that this was good, solid work and it should be effective. And there's something going on that maybe didn't make it that way, or something that we can, put out and it nailed it. So just being open to the fact that there's both sides of it and willing to change it in the moment as needed to improve it, I think is huge. I think there's a lot of times where folks will like, okay, here's this piece of marketing, you set it and you forget it and you never look at it again, and I think that's super detrimental, and I think, um, obviously the accounting world, we have things that we're known for that aren't great, right? And, I think that's one of the spaces for agencies that kinda get stuck, and I love your open approach to, "Let's put this out there. Let's make sure we're reviewing it, monitoring it, and updating as needed." I think that's great. It's a huge
Yeah,
approach.
well, and whether you're working with an agency or you've got an in-house team, whether it's one person wearing multiple hats across the digital marketing spectrum or multiple people in entities and big departments, it's I mentioned, it gets hard when it's in someone's head. It's also hard when you're challenging potentially someone's subject matter expertise. If you got one person who's your
Yeah.
search person and now it's not working and the CEO or CMO is coming and pushing on that a little bit,
Yeah.
or you feel like you fought to get that budget and get that strategy approved, and 6 months in, it's not working as planned. Those are all the challenges that come up with career development and individual pride and ownership of things,
Right.
accountability when it's not used as a positive word and more of a negative one, or even when things are just you get introduced to someone at a party, you don't retain their name. You see them five more times over the next month. It's hard to, you get far enough in where it's like, I can't ask your name at this point. And I feel like that happens often where it's like,
Right.
I forgot to ask that question, or I wish I'd asked a few other questions in the early phases of this, but now it's running and that question will make me look stupid or not, like I didn't understand or invest in this as an employee or as an agency or a partner or whatever. And that's a really dangerous place to live. And so the
Mhm.
strategy phase of what I unpack is so deep in terms of getting people on board, even people who might have worked together for 25 years, using the same inside baseball language, but using it from a different perspective and not being aligned in the ways that they think they could or should be. So that's where getting it not being personal with it, but getting it out there, objective, whether it's in a slide deck or you follow the outline, sample outline I give, and it's in a long document, whatever it is, have it be out there so it is the thing that we've all agreed upon, so we can go back and adjust off of it, and we can get through some of the politics and some of the interpersonal things that crop up in teams and silos as well.
Yeah. Well, Corey, thank you so much. This has been very informative and so great. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here with us. With if folks want to reach out, get in contact with you, learn more about Voltage, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. If you want to reach out and find out more of what we do and how we help implement this on behalf of our clients, that's voltage.digital. And it's pretty easy to hit the contact form there and get routed through my team and me personally. Or if you want to learn more about the book, it's called the Digital Marketing Success Plan. That's a long title, so I shortened the domain for that website to the dmsp.com, and that's where you can go get background on the start planning process that I unpack in the book, get it linked easily over to Amazon, and you can also contact me directly there, and I'd be happy to to help with any gaps or any concerns you have in your own marketing,
Awesome.
and be as helpful as possible.
Awesome. Well, Corey, thank you so much. I look forward to having this launched out there for everyone to listen to. And I just, again, appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Shondell.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the CEO Shift. Ready to take your next step as a strategic CEO? Download our free 4-step CEO decision guide, the exact framework business leaders use to stop spinning their wheels and start scaling with clarity. Grab your copy at spadergroup.com/CEO-guide and start making decisions like a CEO today.